Hello, my name is Robert Cho, and I'm a teacher in the Boston Public School System. And in this series of screencasts, I'll be talking about the FOSS's Earth History Kit, which is part of the 7th grade curriculum here in Boston. Before I proceed, on the screen now is my email address. If you have any questions about this screencast or any of the others, please feel free to shoot me an email, and if I can offer my assistance, I gladly will. To begin with, FOSS's Earth History Kit is broken down to a series of 8 investigations. The first investigation is really kind of a warm-up investigation to get you and your students a sense of whether or not, for you to be able to gauge whether or not your students understand the difference between observations and inferences, since they'll be using these skills throughout the rest of the investigation. Investigation 2 is kind of an engaged investigation, really to get the students interested in the Grand Canyon, which is where we'll be taking our virtual trips to see what the different rocks and rock layers and geologic processes that occur there. It's investigation 3 when students really get into the content. In this investigation, students are given rocks from the Grand Canyon area and are given the task of trying to discern patterns in the rocks, trying to understand some of what they see and what's going on in the Grand Canyon, and really start to understand what sedimentary rocks are, because they'll then use that information to go on to investigation 4 and looking at sediments and sedimentary processes. Because now that they've seen some sedimentary rocks, now they are going to examine how these sedimentary rocks are formed, looking first at sandstone and shale, and then investigation 5, looking at limestone and some of the chemical processes that occur there. Investigation 6, they then jump to the concept of geologic time, which is a pretty abstract concept for most students and for most adults for that matter. But this investigation gives them kind of a really neat hands-on way of seeing some of the scales that we're talking about. Investigation 7 links some of these ideas together, looking at the idea of using fossils as index fossils to be able to get some of the relative and specific ages of the different rock layers that are in the Grand Canyon. And lastly, investigation 8 brings it home by looking at the rock cycle as a whole. Up till now, they've only looked at sedimentary rocks, but here they'll see igneous and metamorphic rocks as well. In addition, they'll be introduced to the concept of plate tectonics. Overall, it's a fairly comprehensive kit that addresses most of the standards that we need to teach here in Boston. However, one of the weaknesses, which I'll talk about when I get there, is the concept of plate tectonics really could use some beefing up, and we'll talk about that more in Investigation 8. Here is a photograph of what you get as a Boston Public School teacher. The wonderful folks at the BPS Science Center put these kits together and get them to you at our schools, and you have pretty much everything you need inside these boxes. There are a few items that you might need to provide on your own, but they're well marked on the teacher's guide so that you'll know exactly what you need to get. There's a very comprehensive, very hefty 3-ring binder, the teacher's guide, that has all the information you need on how to plan, prepare, and execute these lessons. There are the student resource books, the lab notebook, and a CD-ROM with multimedia activities. Before I continue, though, I want to show you another wonderful resource, which doesn't come in the kit. It's on the internet, FOSSWeb. FOSS has a website that gives you a lot of resources as a teacher, and I'm going to show you how to set up an account and some of the resources that are available to you. If you look here, it's very easy. Just go to www.fossweb.com, and on this page you can see the codes you need to activate the Earth History Kit. The basic code actually activates all of the middle school kits, such as Planetary Science and Force in Motion, and then the premium code is specific to the Earth History Kit. So let's go to that page right here. This is the teacher page. I've already logged on as myself right here, and when you log on, once you create an account, you'll log on and you'll go to the teacher's page. Now, I have already activated a number of FOSS modules here. With those codes, you can activate your Earth History Kit by just activating a new module, entering the codes when prompted. You'll then be able to put the Earth History Kit here on your module page, and then you just click on that, and it will take you to the Earth History page. This FOSSWeb Earth History page has all the resources you need that are all included in the teacher's guide. So, for example, if you lose your teacher's guide or you're at home, you didn't want to bring it home, there's an e-version available right here. You click on that, and it brings you to the Earth History Guide, which is a virtual version of it. Table of contents, overview, the different investigations. You can click on them, you know you're teaching Investigation 4, Part 2, no problem. Click on that. It'll send you right to that page. There is also a wonderful resource right here, Resources by Investigation. As you're teaching, become more familiar with the kit. This is a very handy shortcut for you to go to. So for example, let's say again, you're teaching Investigation 4, click on that, it drops down, and you can see right here, Investigation 2, 4, Part 2, it shows you every single lab notebook page you need, the transparency you need, and even a PDF file of the sand types that you'll be using. It'll show you what pages your students are going to be reading. If there happen to be any multimedia, I don't see any here, but if there are any multimedia that you'll be using, they'll be linked here too. So this is a great shortcut for you to go to. And you can also, instead of doing these drop down, you can just go jump directly to any of the parts of the investigation right here. Also on the FOSS web page, all of your lists of materials by box that you should have. The entire lab notebook is downloadable as a PDF file. All of the transparencies are also downloadable in case you want to copy and paste them into a PowerPoint slide, for example. The assessment files are all here, and the student resource book. So let's go on and look at some more of the kit. So again, here's the teacher's guide. Teacher's guide, whether you look in the virtual version or your 3-ring binder, very useful guide to have. If you're new to FOSS or new to the Earth History Kit, I highly recommend you take some time to look through it. It does have an overview of the course. It has some links to national standards. What I find useful is Earth History in Context. It talks about basically why is it important to teach Earth History to our students. And from the student's perspective, the question, why study the history of the Earth? So you can be prepared to answer some of those questions. If the students ask you, why is this important? Why do I need to know this? If you don't have a background in geology, no problem. FOSS has some good background information to give you enough of a foundation so that you're a few steps ahead of your students while you're teaching the kit. Some other information about instructional methods, assessing, reading and writing, discourse, management strategies, using the FOSS technology, and safety in the classroom. And then the kit has this wonderful matrix, which is, again, gives you a nice snapshot of what the kit offers. Each investigation, the concepts that are taught in that part, CD-ROM resources, readings, and so on. I want to end by talking about another great resource. BPS Science Department has its own Weebly right here, bpsscience.weebly.com, and has a number of different resources that are useful. You can see them on this slide, but I think I'm just going to show you. So here is the Weebly site right here. Again, bpsscience.weebly.com, put together by the people at the BPS Science Department. What I find really useful, I'm going to click on Student Learning Outcomes right here. This is a wonderful resource. If you want to see what your students should be learning with each of these kits, you can click on the grade 7 link. When this downloads, you can open it up. It'll take a second to open. And click on it. It'll open up right in Word. And here you have the 3 FOSS kits for grade 7. Here is Earth History. It shows you Earth History, Investigation 1, how many sessions it should take, approximately how much time in days or weeks, and then what students should be able to do to demonstrate proficiency for that particular investigation. It also has links to the state standards or frameworks right here, both for earth science and for technology and engineering. So it's a very useful resource to have at your disposal. And then lastly, to end with, we've got some literacy resources. Literacy resources, close reading resources where you can download the close reading, which I'll talk to you about later, and the common writing assignment. And that's about it. So I hope you have enjoyed this introduction to the FOSS Earth History Kit. We'll be coming back to look at these other investigations in other screencasts. Thank you.